Hello, and welcome to May, because that happened. So, originally, I created Behavior Bits as an idea of how to keep supporting families and parents and vent and figure out this new life that we're doing. And this slide used to say April 2020. But like many of you, I imagine that you've gone through your ups and downs of the varying stages of what this whole process of going virtual in a lot of ways that our society didn't previously go virtual in. And so now it's May. Hi. Hi. Welcome. It's May. So I'm Tara Yarberry. I am a board certified behavior analyst. I work with Butte SELPA. The school that I work with through the SELPA is called Bases Learning Center. And I've been doing this for a couple years here now. So let's go through a couple little bits that I thought might be relevant for you in your life, or at least was cathartic enough and relevant enough in my life that I decided to create a behavior bit slideshow about it. So COVID happened, right? There was stuff went down. So pandemic was announced, and then, changes. Pretty abrupt changes for a lot of people too. I think that some folks got really thrown off, or at least I can own that. I got really thrown off by how quickly the changes happened. I actually was out on spring break with my family during that first week that the changes happened. So then I came back from spring break and it was just a whole new world and things were happening really differently. So I wanted to talk about in this change, there was a lot of CEUs that have been provided. And so I wanted to sort of blab a little bit about one that really struck home with me. Little bit of background. I have a family dynamic here in this household that I am with. My partner is here. He is finishing his senior year at a state university. So he has shifted to online classes. I have a 3-year-old that usually goes to daycare. Just turned 3 on March 1st. And so he obviously is not going to daycare. And then I myself work full time. So we have all of that under this roof. We also have an amazing puppy dog, Cash, who is, I think he waffles between being incredibly happy that we're home and also very sad that we're not going on nearly as many walks or, time out in the yard as he would deem appropriate, I think, if he was running the house. So one of the things that I looked at in getting new continuing education units for free, because the conference got canceled that I was going to get some CEUs from, was the real benefit of routines. I think sometimes we take routines for granted, and I know in the new normal, when COVID first happened and in late March, I was kind of taking a step back and going, okay, what is routine? Do we have routine? And in April, I tried really hard to say, there should be some level of routine after taking this continuing education unit, because routines create normalcy, they establish predictability, and they really have been proven in the research. I cited here Horner Day and Day in 2013. They found that they actually serve as a reducing problem behavior. So it's sort of one of those proactive things, those preventative strategies that you can do to reduce behavior challenges. I think about this a lot as I think about all of the conflict I get into with my 3-year-old on the daily. So, we got to create a new physical distancing schedule. It might have been a schedule different than any other type of schedule you've ever done in your life for yourself. I remember going through college or going through different points in my life or starting a new job and figuring out the new school year. And I would create my schedule. I would work out a couple months, and this was nothing like it. This new physical distancing schedule that we'd been asked to undergo was so new in my wheelhouse of how to do, especially with the competing variables here in this house of, a daycare kid that doesn't have daycare and a college senior that doesn't have college in the physical sense anymore. And he also had to kind of quit his job to be the care provider for the kid, because I also still maintained work after I got back from spring break. It was a lovely spring break. Really miss it. Let's go back to March. General outline. So generally, when we talk about routines, we look at our responsibilities and we also look at leisure or breaks, right? So I think when I first did my routine in April, I did more responsibilities. I was like, okay, gotta get school, gotta get work, we gotta make sure laundry's going. Like, how do we create this schedule? And it was really all centered around the kid, because we knew as adults we could regulate and maintain with a skill set that we had, but we didn't quite know what our kids' skill set was going to look like. We forgot breaks a little bit, especially when we started potty training. We really realized that yeah, we had no breaks built in. So I think that might have been a common pitfall that folks might have done for themselves. So hopefully you've ironed that out. And if you haven't, give yourself breaks. Build in those times to do whatever it is that you found now to do that is regulating or soothing or easy but challenging enough. I ended up with a paint by number. I'm no way a creative enough human to paint for real on a canvas. Well, I don't know. Actually, you can see this. I have a painting in the background. There's a little moon I made. So my paintings are like very abstract. But this paint by number, it's like beautiful, and it's this ocean scene. And so hopefully, when I'm done with it, I'll just look at it and feel all peaceful and relaxed. But that was sort of a step out of my comfort zone, but it's something that's been super regulating. I paint when I'm in a meeting because sometimes Zoom, I don't know, think people move different and look different. And so I can just listen and I can paint, or I was coloring in the coloring pages that are my kids, doing all sorts of, I straight up just had to move these off my desk. Got a new pack of coloring pencils. I know that I spent much of April figuring out, how do I keep us sane? How do we not, want to kill each other in this because we're all on top of each other? And how do I practice coping and regulating that I previously had outlets for? I used to get to walk, or I drove. I'm still kind of driving sporadically, but also really loving that I don't have as much gas money getting expended. So it's that balance in everybody's sort of general outline on how they do their routines. We put in our responsibilities, we put in breaks, and that balance between those things is really unique and up to the individual and up to what they want to do. So late April-ish, I don't know about you, but I went into that phase of I created a schedule. I bought all these things, from Amazon, or I awesome. I found some local vendors that were starting to ship stuff out. So I bought some things from the local places that I really appreciate. And then now I just started not being motivated at all. I was like, it's the end of April. We were moving into finals week too for my spouse. And we were super unmotivated those last couple of weeks of April, which is probably why these behavior bits didn't get out. But it made for an amazing story or whatever for this slide, because this is how we felt. And I'm hoping that after this conversation by myself that maybe you'll listen to, that we can all come to a better place, right? So a big important thing to think about, there's a big question mark on the slide, because how do you customize these things to you? So I'm going to talk about general strategies. I don't know who the F my audience is right now, right? Usually I can spitball and I can talk with people, and I really run more of a free flow conversation when I'm doing trainings and when I'm doing things. Again, another step in how it got to me all of a sudden was that I didn't quite know when I was first starting to get ready to put on this behavior bits training situation. I didn't know how to individualize it. I want to make sure that if you're still listening at how many minutes I've been rambling, that you're getting something out of this by the end of it, or else that really sucks. Okay. So maybe here's some examples. Maybe if you just feel like you're eating everything in the world, I'm not even going to go into how many pounds I've gained in this new virtual sitting, not enough movement, and also free access to my fridge land that I've been living in. But if you're feeling that, then that would be an identification of a need that you're having to adjust, modify, or, sort of change up the way that your current routine or schedule is going. It's a way to build in strategies into your routine by noticing, this is the problem I'm having. How can I use my routine to help me alleviate this problem behavior? How can I use the routine proactively so that I'm not engaging in this? So what we decided to do as a household, and again, I'm in my bedroom a lot, my home office that I'm in here a lot. So I go out for the designated breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack times. And if I'm hungry outside of that, or more importantly, if the child is hungry outside of that, because this was where our mindset was at when we started to come up with these things, was that he can have, or I can have, fruits, vegetables, and water anytime, which I just realized I didn't bring my water in here. But that's okay, because I can have it anytime. And then for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we talk things like he gets snacks, because he's super not motivated sometimes to eat the salad or whatever vegetable we've got with that dinner time or snack time. And so we dictate those things in the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but allow that flexibility of, do you want fruit, do you want vegetable, do you want water, any other time? And then if you eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, maybe you can get some ice cream, or you can get some dessert, or we can talk about a motivating, thing for him. Because again, in our schedule, we were noticing we're here sitting for 30 minutes waiting for lunchtime to get over. And that made it so my work schedule got then shifted and flipped on its head a little bit. So we had to kind of go, all right, let's set a timer. Again, he's 3. Timers work very well for 3-year-olds. They work well for me as an adult too, but a lot of people kind of don't like timers or have outgrown timers, but that worked really well for him. And if he's done with his food by the time that the timer goes off and he's eaten a certain amount that we've agreed on, then he can get the agreed upon dessert. So those are some things that we did that worked for us in our house around food times. And again, it's all about when new things are coming up, how can you help work those into it? If he's asking for food 7 times outside of the food times, maybe you can find some anytime options that you yourself, whether this is a plan for you and a routine for you, or your family members or the kids that you're supporting and hanging out with all the time while you work and do your regular jam, maybe they can have these options available for them so that they're not just coming up to you all the time asking for food. Hashtag all the sitting. That has been huge. I personally suffer from sciatica, and I had the biggest flare up I've had in a while in August. Thankfully, I'd started sort of a regiment with a stretching program that I found that was really cool. I'd highly recommend it. It was like a Hinge Health. It was something that health insurances were sort of pushing out, and it has like the aid of a psychologist as well as a exercise program and reading on back pain and knee pain. And I found it very comprehensive and actually exactly what I needed. I started that a little bit before the outbreak, and that counselor checking in with me and asked me like, hey, I noticed your pain level was up when you responded to this survey, or I noticed your activity level's down. You haven't done any of the workouts in a little while. That was really helpful during this time. I know not everyone has that. And then it actually faded out these last couple weeks, and my sciatica kind of came back. And I went, oh, well, I'm not doing this program anymore. So I had to come and go, I'm doing all this sitting. What can I do now to help mediate this? Because my old routine of doing that 3 times a week, there's like stretches and stuff, and I would always check it on Monday. And, that's not a mandate of this program anymore. We were supposed to have kind of been able to generalize and do the stretching on our own. I just think it hit such a wonky time. Their poor data. It hit such a wonky time that we were finding this new normal, and it got lost in my shuffle. So I kind of came back to it, and I set some reminders. So I set a couple of reminders to say, hey, go on a walk. So I have something in my calendar. We have a walk every day. And while work doesn't always allow that at exactly 10 o'clock, right before snack at 10:30, that we go on the walk, sometimes I can move it to 9:30, or sometimes we can, flip flop snack and that. And so I work that out with my partner, and we figure out what's going to work best for, their schedule and what's going to work best for my work schedule. And when I just need to do some of my own activity, like an hour into each Zoom, if somebody schedules a Zoom for more than an hour, first of all, let's get a hold of that, guys. Second of all, I get some are needed. I sit in a lot of individual education plan meetings, and IEP teams need to talk about a lot of stuff, and it's we're all at the table, so it makes sense to get it out then. But every hour after a Zoom meeting starts, I have a timer that I've set as a reminder that goes off and says, you've been sitting for an entire hour. So I get up, I got this fancy little tray table, I put it on my bed. I can open up that window. Which direction? That window behind me. It's all backwards when you look at yourself in the video. And I can hunker in and stand up. I even got a little mat thing for standing on. And again, I know not all of these things are super possible for a lot of people, but these were things that I'd already actually ordered because I was transitioning into a standing workstation at work. And so I just went and picked it up and brought it here. So setting reminders, building it into your schedule in a calendar, those are great ways to build movement and activity into what you're doing. And if you're bored, because, that happens, you're looking at the same stuff, talking to the same people, doing all those things. If that's an identified need of yours, you're like, I've got this schedule, I've got a routine, well, maybe find some ways to create. I did in these links, so I'm going to have this in my Padlet, which I'll show you the information to later. But these are some links to different things that could be creative or ways of flexing your creative muscles. So make an in-home version of something that you'd usually do in public, or take a virtual tour of your favorite vacation spot. So you might have already been doing some of these things. I know that a lot of the teachers I work with have been doing these, and they're really cool. But I want to think too, or embed this idea that once teachers stop assigning these for your kids, because maybe summer's going to happen, June and July, kids don't go to school usually as much, and we don't know whether or not there's going to be an early opening to school or what that's going to look like. It might be good to be thinking of these things. So I gave you a couple examples in there. So the magic show, I think, is like a YouTube of a dude teaching you how to do magic. So it teaches you a couple magic tricks. The zoos and museums, there's a virtual list under that link, and it lists all of the places, or at least as many as the person that created it. Thank you to the humans that created these links. All sorts of places that you can take virtual tours. The theme park is one of my favorite videos that I saw just like a week or two in, and it's that family that created the It's a Small World ride in their house. Amazing. I watch that frequently. It is so good. And then the concert is a list of virtual concerts that are out there. And there's a lot of artists that have been able to pour their passion that they usually do in other ways, face to face, venues. They've poured that artistic passion that they have and that creative passion that they have into something. And you can, karaoke to it, or you can just watch it and feel the feels. But those are ways of hopefully being creative if you're feeling bored. Another thing, which I'm always an advocate for, but can sometimes be a little hairy. I have one friend who I know better than to compete with on things because she goes hard. And that more power to you. She always wins. I want to be on her team if we're doing like team sports, but I don't want to be against her. So create opportunities for healthy competition. You don't need to go ham. You don't need to be mad. Let's all, be poor losers or, good sports when we're doing these kinds of things. But, whether it's just, playing chess on an online game. I mean, I reinstalled my Words with Friends app and it's been really fun. Or if you want to we created an obstacle course that ended in silly string we have like a business park nearby us, and we strapped one of the kids like little tricycles to a wagon that we had that he sits in when we go on bike rides. And so he's in the trailer. Attached to the trailer is the bike, is the tricycle, and we're both on bikes, and we biked. It's actually only like a 5-minute walk, but because we had the tricycle, we're like, okay, we're gonna bike. And this business area is completely empty once it's the weekend. And so we spent, I think it was on Saturday, we brought chalk and we brought silly string, and we had our bikes, and we created paths, and we shot silly string at each other, and we did an obstacle course and just rode around in circles, and it was really fun. It was just a different space. No one was there. Nobody was even walking through. It's kind of like a self-contained business park. And it was just right over there. I mean, it's literally 2 blocks away from our house, and it was so nice to just get out for an extended period of time. And not have it be, like, I'm going for a run or I'm going for a walk necessarily. It was like, I'm going to go have fun somewhere else, but I'm still going to like be away from people, and I'm still not going to breathe on others and all that good stuff. So that was really fun. That's an example if you have kids. Other examples, the same challenges that you've done with like Fitbit or other types of stepping, pedometer kinds of things. You can still do step challenges. You can do timed competitions. One thing that I was thinking for like a fast-paced, high energy and fun focused way of spinning academics, like if you're feeling like I have to homeschool, like compete against your kid. And there's like old drill. I couldn't find a picture of it. I like YouTube searched or Google searched for way too long for this, but those drill sheets that you get in math class, right? Like 2 + 2, 2 + 5, 2 + 0, and you have to like do them within 1 minute. Like do that, compete with your, do that alongside. Like, have you ever competed with your kid at their time-based homework? Well, maybe you should, because it's funner. I don't know. Then they win usually, right? Because I'm pretty sure my 3-year-old could even walk laps around me and how well I could do my addition tables. But so it adds that part to it. A second thing that I just thought of as I was ranting on, which is the nature of this behavior bits, sorry, was that I had a family member I was talking to, and she's like, I try to sit him at the table. I try to do table work. And the first thing that came into my head with this kid in particular was, I was like, have you ever played Minecraft with him? Because this kid can build some cool stuff in Minecraft. And maybe it was a foster family, and he was a pretty new placement. He'd gotten to our school around December, and then this hit. So we'd only spent a couple months with the family, and it was so cool because I think in every other group home placement or foster care placement that this kid had been in, he'd always had other siblings around. And so it was a unique challenge for the family because he's used to like hanging out with other kids, but it was cool. He gets to be in this family environment. It's a really loving, amazing family. And he's the only kid right now. And I said, I bet if there were other kids, he'd be playing Minecraft with them. Maybe that's where he can take the reins and teach you about Minecraft, and you all can keep learning and growing together and bonding and creating that relationship that then later on, if you have a relationship, he might be more willing to sit with you at the table and do a couple math problems, especially if you set a timer and you guys compete, something like that. So she was like, hey, that's true. I'm really bad at it. And I was like, have them teach you. I'm really bad at it too, but this kid taught me like 3 or 4 things about Minecraft that I never knew, and it actually seems kind of cool and kind of fun. And thought about playing it now. So hopefully they're doing that. Hopefully you can come up with things of, if you have kids, meeting them where they're at, or partners or roommates. If you're bored, maybe do something that someone else likes to do too. Compete with your own self on learning something new and not always falling back into the hobbies and things that you know that you like. And last, this just segued so perfectly into connect. So do play together. I honestly don't remember what these links are. Just gonna be real with y'all right now, but they're cool links. So when I show you where this is linked at, go check them out. But I love this picture, so I'm gonna diverge into another story. So within 1 week after the World Health Organization declared it officially a pandemic, it reminded me of this game Pandemic. And this is an older version, but the first purchase that we got as a family was the game Pandemic. And I think every single lunch break right after it is nap time for our kid, every single nap for a week and a half, we played Pandemic. And I don't know if that was our little way of trying to control everything. We even decided which one is the coronavirus. I'm realizing as I'm saying it, it's ridiculous, but it worked for us. It gave us a chance to connect for a week and a half before it got, kind of boring or too arduous. And the kid also stopped taking naps. I don't know what that is about. 3 can go shove it because 2 was way better at napping. And it's a really cool game, and you can control pandemics and maybe I think it really helped us have a little bit more of a sense of control in a really uncontrollable time. So highly recommend that game. I'm not being paid for this. This is not a product plug. It is just, wow, the irony. There's already a game called Pandemic out there. And it's a cooperative game. So that's another part, cooperative games. Be kind, I think, is really the overarching message. I think that there's a lot of grace that we can all give ourselves during this time because we don't know what the F is up. We really don't know or understand how to function like this and what to do and how to get out of this or how to get back to some semblance of the world that we knew and of a world where we can connect and be around one another with physical proximity again. So please just be kind. If you're having a day, greet it with love instead of with frustration if you can. If you see others around you having a day, same thing. Just really grant a lot of grace and be compassionate with where everyone's at about this. So these are some videos that probably do a much funnier and better job at exemplifying all that I've been trying to say in this journey here on this Behavior Bits. So I will, again, watch those. They're great. But I will leave you with this link. So on here, as we're doing this, I'm noticing I haven't done this, but I will as soon as I'm done recording this. This is some COVID virtual resources for behavior here on the Butte County Self-Led Behavior Support Services Padlet. There's also just information on behavior, data collection. There's a lot of this is geared towards schools. So you'll see that there's behavior assessments, plans, and PINT is an agency that helps with schools in particular, supporting behavior, evidence-based and research-driven ways of supporting student behavior change. But there is a lot out there if you keep going for other types of things. So Affirm and Captain are amazing resources if in particular if you are a family that has an individual with autism that's impacting them, but also just overall it has a lot of great behavioral strategies that they utilize that they found evidence that really work in supporting people. And PBIS, I think that over here, I'm trying to not go too fast but go fast enough. There is a PBIS, a Positive Behavior Supports at Home version of this, but PBIS is an amazing thing happening in schools where we're building supports on a tiered level for our kiddos and young adults. And UDL is looking at how do we make something work for everyone, and how many times have I been asked or have asked other people, how do we make this work, in particular for our special ed kids, but just for all of us, how do we make this work? And maybe UDL can give us some insights into that. And then there's just some additional resources and some of my own slides on different aspects of behavior. So this is our Padlet. I am going to probably put Behavior Bits under COVID-19 virtual resources for behavior because that's what this is all about. Don't be surprised if it ends up also in the professional development area, but it's really here for, I don't know, me to be able to vent and word vomit at humans that maybe are watching me, maybe can see me, maybe can relate. I just really wish everyone all the best in this time as we continue, making our way through in this new world. So, all right. That's all I got for you. I'll see you again, hopefully in June. Maybe before, maybe later. I don't really know.